Human greed is what I want to talk about today. I've seen it many times, meaning in the pandemic wise, we see, the hoarding of toilet paper, toiletries and stuff of that nature. And none of that would have happened if there wasn't the ideology that I need this, I need this, I need to do this, or else, me. And we see this a lot in society, on a global scale. Like, for an example, the inequality from above. I've seen many times where you see slums and then right next to it is huge, humongous houses. And I feel like we as humans, in America, we kind of think, oh, whatever. It's like they chose to be that way, but it's not that case, most of the time. It's something that's deep-rooted into their society. It's like, I'm a servant to that person because they have wealth and they have education. And, with America, we have that education to where we're able to do stuff like that. But, sometimes it's limited to certain people, scenarios where they have to fend for themselves and their, clique, per se. And with gangs, we see that a lot too. Coming not from anything like that, but being, I guess you could say, under poor, I guess. I never associated myself with that stuff, but, having those observations, has helped me come to a conclusion to where I see maybe I have a bias towards it. And of course, everyone's gonna have a personal bias. Like the wealthier are gonna have a bias towards, the lower income households, because they're like, oh, if I can be rich, then you can. Which, sure, but it's deep rooted into the society, like I said, to where it's violence. And we saw this with New York, for an example. I was watching a movie a couple of days ago, and the New York police would literally sell all of their narcotics back into their family, the black households and black stuff like that. And the head of that were like the people's choice to their, I guess, head of their hierarchy in their social group, per se. But it's a terrible thing to see as a person that has an observation, being able to observe that thing. It changes a lot. It changes a lot, like how we see society, and at least me. We see that it's their fault for reasons, and sure, they didn't have to take that drug, but I think I have a bias towards people of that nature where it's terrible. It's terrible to see that, and we have to talk about that, being able to change that, because we can change that. But the government, or at least, back then, which not to say there's not corruption now, which we've seen in New York previously, today, with a governor accepting bribes and such of that nature. But back then, the police would take drugs off, incriminate the black men, and then give it back to the higher black men that are selling all those drugs back to them. And it's just, yes, that's a part of their economy, and that's why it's so overlooked, because it's their stability, But how can we change that? It comes from human greed, it's being able to understand each other, and we still haven't as a society, to where greed is just, that overarching hierarchy, which is the accomplishment is to have me have this. I've seen a TikTok. I honestly reposted it to my Instagram. But for an example, the kids in our society, and at least in America, they say an adult asks them, what do you want? What's your one wish? And all of them were $1 million, a million, and the same question was asked to the slums in the Middle East, and all they requested was for their family to be okay. And us as a society, we haven't had that acknowledgement. We haven't had that keen eye to understand that there's more to just, society than money. And we see that with today also. The ports got, they're on strike. And now it's a problem because the bigger higher ups are losing, $5 billion. And all you see on the headlines is, the workers are causing this. The workers, yes, of course the workers are causing this, but also the wages that they haven't been, asking for haven't been granted to them. They haven't been paid a livable wage. And it's two sides to a never-ending story. And how can we come together as a society to change this? And I want to change this. And I want to, be able to talk to people about this. And honestly, just please reach out, talk to me. I would love to go on, a journey with someone to, any type of impoverished country and aid. You know what I mean? It's something that drives me. It's human nature to at least for me, it's human nature to care about other people in such ways that I'm able to change how they are living. I have this education. I am able to do this. I'm able to acknowledge this certain thing, and that levels with consciousness. The people in those slums are not conscious in that level because they haven't been brought that education to where they're like, okay, I understand that these things are happening and it's a system that I need to get out of so I can process this information and aid the people that are also, going through the same system. And it's and obviously it's working. It's working for them. It's working for the higher ups, but it's not working for the people that are impoverished. Their poverty, and it's terrible. And even see that with veterans. It's a terrible thing where it's like they're thrown away like garbage, and they're not garbage. They're human beings, and they have a life. They have something to live for. But us as a community, we still are so driven by human greed. And I'm not to say that I'm perfect. I know I have some certain aspects that I need to fix. But I feel like if we were just a tenth of more worried about these scales, like, with these impoverished people, kids, children, you know what I mean? It's the impact could be instant, and of course there's money, there's calculations that go into this, but it's possible, and it's something that's easily able to do. And I've been watching videos, not to say that I'm, the highest educated man ever, but when human curiosity and human drive leads to something, it changes it. What was deemed impossible is now possible, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are skeptical on these things. It's like, okay, I can't, yes, I want to help these people, but then we have to get aid, we have to do all this money, and it's like, it sounds so logistically not possible, but it's human. It's so human. It's a human thing that we can change. We're able to genetically engineer these fucking fruits, vegetables, to make it bigger. And not to say that that's a good thing, but it's something that we did as a society so they could we could gain, not we, but the general producers of it could gain profit. And I feel like the people that are in the higher ups, they don't have that ideology because it's not what they, they don't make money off of it anymore. It's something that they don't need it's something that they just don't want to happen. It's something that they want to keep stability and maybe even a monopoly on it, per se, a monopoly on fucking poverty. And it's terrible. It's a terrible thing. How can we unmonopolize this impoverished area? It's hard because the people in power have all the money, all the resources. How can we come together as people? And I would say, strike, but then what is that going to do? It's nothing. It's just going to feed into more negativity with people. And to extend on this, we see this in poverty where certain cliques, don't mesh well together, and it's just because the ideology that they don't have, similarities. But what happens if they did, and they do have similarities, you know what I mean? It's something that they do, and it's something that's also deep-rooted psychologically. Psychologically it changed that ideology in them to where they're not even helping their neighborhood. It's just killing folk, and it's terrible. It's terrible to think about. How can we fix this? And earlier, back when Crips and Bloods, originally, sure, they they mesh well together, and then how did we lead off into this tragedy where it's just never-ending violence in a lot of communities that could be so well flourishing together, but it's just hard because they're impoverished. And it has a bunch to do with like culture, and it's like around, like, not culture to say them, but it's like the stigmatisms, the ideologies that everyone's brought to it creates a culture where I have to fend for myself, and these negative outlooks on life where it makes it wanting to harm another person and collide and clash when they could just intelligently collide and clash. They don't have to hurt people. They can just talk, communicate, and understand each other. And we haven't come to that. In a lot of Nordic countries, they have system that works well because they're all together and such of that nature. They're all similar, and yes, that works for them because they're all similar. But how can we be all similar together in a very diverse culture? Right now we can't, because the education level is just not there. It's not enough for people to realize that yes, we're different, but how can we work together as a culture and people? And a lot of people don't want to hear that conversation because they're so stuck up on their ways. And being so stuck up on their ways, it just creates a lot of negativity. A lot of people have so much negative, towards something that they don't understand. And in 7th grade, I remember this exactly. My teacher said to me, I was learning Spanish, and she said to me, I said something was stupid, and she said, very often people find things stupid because they just don't understand them well enough. And I feel like that's a lot with society. A lot of people don't have an understanding of each other, so they can't help each other because it's just constant bickering. A lot of people think that starting a conversation also leads to negativity, when some people are just curious. Some people want to hear each other out and they want to start conversations, but then other people take it very differently. And how can we change that? It's just a lot of psychoanalysis that I've done. It's something that I've analyzed a lot, and it leads so much to discussions that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about that with other people. And I hope you guys want to continue this journey and understanding why we do things the way we do, and how can we change these things to better help everyone. It's honestly terrible, you know what I mean? It's terrible that other people can't live equally like we can, and it is emotional. It's something distressing, honestly, to me and to other people. I know other people think the same way, and it's something that needs to be changed. How can I change this when I'm fucking broke? You know what I mean? It's also something that I have to deal with too, but I'm able to get this education. I'm very fortunate with that, show gratitude towards that. We're able to understand a lot with education. You just have to be able to have an open mind and understanding other people and understanding this education system, this rubric that we have to understand. And that's honestly the topic of discussion I wanted to talk about today. And please leave comments if you have something to say. I really want to hear, negative or fucking positive. I want to hear other people's thoughts on this, because it's something that is very, very, very important to me and other people. It's not just me, it's everyone. It's not something that's gonna just affect me, and it affects everyone. And please, I urge you to like, subscribe, or not even that, I don't care, just comment your ideologies and what you see fit in this world. I really do want to help, and just point towards, I just want to get pointed towards a better direction on life, to be able to help other people that can't get the same education. I'm sorry I'm rambling. I sound rambunctious right now, but that's honestly all I wanted to talk about. Thank you. Have a blessed fucking day.